James, you've been over here doing a series of dates. How have they gone?
Well, we just started the tour last night, and Wembley was our first date, but we were over here about 2 months ago. It was fantastic. We drew so many people. It was unbelievable. We went behind the curtain and we performed some dates there. It was in Greece, and it was in Germany. It was in France, and we're now going back to Germany again.
Is it, in effect, a world tour?
It's part of a world tour, yes.
Do you find that your original audience is now growing up and you're getting a lot of new young faces coming to see you?
Well, I get a cross-cut, but I do get a lot of new young faces. The punk rockers started a lot of things. They saw James Brown, they like his hairstyles, they like his dancing, his costumes, and the music, and all the things that we do. The fanfare that goes with our music is fantastic. And then they like all our songs, like Sex Machine, which is the all-time great, and Papa's Bag, It's a Man's World. Then the new thing, Living in America. Then had a chance to do this song with out of Rocky IV, and then all the music things that we're doing. So things are just going great. I can't believe that today it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The resurgence is unbelievable.
I was going to say, your career really seems to have taken off again since your collaboration with Dan Hartman.
Yes.
On Gravity.
Well, Gravity has been just unbelievable. Living in America, taken from Rocky IV. Sylvester Stallone was one who really wanted James Brown in that movie, you know. And Stallone was very, very hot artist of today. One of our hot artists. And it meant a lot to be in that movie. So it's just kind of just getting very, very hot. And Dan, being one of my fans, were able to do a nice version of an arrangement, Living in America, that fitted the criteria of James Brown, which we have a lot of things coming out of the Gravity album now, called How Do You Stop, Person to Person, Gravity itself, and the Goliath. We have about 2 or 3 more arrangements coming out. The album is getting hotter and hotter. It's very, very, very hot. And behind the iron curtain, it's very, very hot in Germany and France today. And from what I can hear, it's taking off very, very big here in England. And it's going great. In the States, it's just burning up. And we don't know what's going to come out next. It's doing so great.
Now, you've always worked with tried and trusted musicians, people like Maceo Parker. How was it working with someone newer like Dan Hartman?
Well, Dan was an arranger, and I didn't hear him play. The musician side is our musicians, but Dan is more or less an arranger, and I think he get people like Stephen Winworth and them to cut with him. And we used Maceo on some of the records, and he would like to use my whole band. And when we did this last album, we had things that were recorded by me and my group that they wanted to put in the album. But I said, no, Dan, I'd just rather do just the things that you and Charlie write, and we'll collaborate on those things together. Because when my next album coming out would be pretty well a very much well-produced James Brown album, which has so many sharp licks in it. And Dan Allen will do things in the future organic too. Because Dan and I have been very, very fortunate. Dan said the integrity of James Brown music hasn't even been touched yet.
How did Living in America come about? Did Dan have the song and he approached you, or did he write it with you in mind?
He wrote it with me in mind, but it was what I think Stallone requested. I believe that Stallone requested the type of song he wanted. He wanted James Brown to get the people hot. And when Dan wrote the song, Living in America, then I went on and put my version of doing it, you know, to add that other energy to it. And Dan said, he see what I was talking about, because it was real straight the way Dan had it, you know. And it was the way he sung it. It was the way he sung it. Very well, as much as he could find himself to find in James Brown. But then when I sang it, I started putting a lot of different things in it and laying back and doing a lot of screams and yells and things that you know, it's on a James Brown style. Thank God to that.
Did you have to update your style, even though it was still you? Did you?
No, because things that like Sex Machine and Hot Pants. It's 20 years ahead of their time. So what it is, the people are trying to find out what we're doing. And that's the reason why my band, when they play people, they can't get the people off to sit down, because the things that we do, you know, it's so different, you know. because the unwritten stuff. See, we changed the musical structure in 1965 when Papa's Got a Brand New Bag, because music was written on 2 and 4 and on the up tempo, and now we play it on the downbeat, which is totally different.
What do you think of music around today, especially things like hip hop and Run DMC and the Beastie Boys?
Well, those are poor copies, well, not say poor copies, but they're copies of what they thought I was doing in the 60s, like Let the Brother Rap. And see, I started the rap music, and what they're doing is things I did years ago. But see, rap music is kind of a variation. I mean, it's like the end of a James Brown song, what we would do at the very end, you know.
You actually worked with quite a big rap hip-hop star, Africa Bambaataa Unity.
We did a fantastic message about nuclear war, stuff about unity and not using nuclear war stuff. And that's what it was about. It was a message to the people, to the world leaders, you know, to kind of refrain on the nuclear stuff, because nuclear stuff could be good to extend life, but we don't want to take life with nuclear war. So that was the reason behind it, not so much as trying to get a hit record. Peace, unity, love, and having fun.
Quite a lot of your songs say, like, don't be a dropout, say it loud, I'm black and proud, seem to have messages or make statements. Would you agree?
Well, they made statements in the 60s. We felt that there was a very, very strong need, because there were a lot of unrest between the racial overtones. Someone like the South Africa tone was hitting the States, and we didn't want to see that happen. So we worked very strong with that, you know. So we cut songs to build a pride in a person. If a person's not proud of themselves, and if they get frustrated, then they can be very, very detrimental to humanity in so many different ways. And we didn't want people to be unfair for people to be able to go places and, you know, be among other people, you know. We wanted them to feel relaxed and comfortable. So if people are proud, they could care less. If I'm proud, I mean, I don't worry about what you're doing. I'm worried about what I'm trying to do, trying to make myself better. Pride is very important.
What do you think is more important, the music or the message?
Well, the message are more important, but it takes the music to get the attention.
You're quoting an interview as saying that you would like to get into politics eventually. Is that still your plan of action?
Well, politically, I'm already there because of the fact that I've made statements and things that are very important. I was able to have a meeting with the Pope about a year and a half ago, no, about a year ago, which was a very strange thing for an entertainer to be able to sit and meet with the Pope. And then I was able to meet with all the presidents around the world. We just left the Holy City. We just left Jerusalem, and we felt very proud there. I feel very religious myself, and I feel spiritually involved, like everybody should feel. But people have to do what they want to do. I can't control other people's life, and I don't try to, but I'm very concerned about other people.
Do you think music and politics mix?
Well, those things have to go together, I guess, to a point, because that's the reason why you have news. They have to come together at some point, because the message makes people aware of what's going on.
Now, just looking back at your career, you made your first record in 1956.
That's right. I recorded it in 55, they released it in 56. Please, please, please. And the kids hear please, please, please today and act like it's a new record.
Was it always your ambition to be a singer?
My ambition was to eat. We were very hungry. We were very poor people. And singing was one way my music was able. I was able to earn a living. We were living in a home one time where we had over 19 people in the home, and the rent was only $5 a month, and they couldn't get it. And I went and tap danced for the soldiers and made $12. Was able to pay the rent for 2 months. So that's what music was for me. I was able to go out and make a decent life for myself. Like some people study to be a secretary, an interviewer, a cameraman, an actor, or whatever. I was able to go with music, and I was able to, God gave me this inside talent and this vision, and be able to make myself very, very much aware and independent in my music. And I've been very lucky. Even when I met my wife, she was into music and she was into makeup and hair and makeup, and it made us a great team, heart to heart, working together. So those things, a lot of things are important. Involvement's important today. Being involved with other people than yourself.
I believe you also trained to be a boxer at one point.
Yes, I was. I had three fights that I was very, very good. I had a chance to play professional baseball too. But survival was the main object, I believe.
What about acting? I believe you've actually been over here completing a film project at the moment.
Say that again.
Have you been? I believe you've been over here.
Well, we are contemplating my life story at this point. We pretty well got the contract laid out together, and I'll be doing the soundtrack from it. And I've done soundtracks before, which is going to be great. And doing my acting and doing a soundtrack is going to be quite an experience for myself.
Are you going to play you, or are you going to draft somebody else?
I'm going to play me to a point, I think, and hopefully maybe get my wife to be my lead later.
I mean, you've had cameo roles, namely Blues Brothers.
I was a minister in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also I was in Detroit. I was in Ski Party. And I haven't been into a lot of film. I made one movie once that it never went, well, at least I think they had some problem with filming and some probably legal problems, but hopefully we'll be into a lot of movies. It's a way of life, yeah. You know, and once you get the face, one thing about acting, being an actor, I think, is to create a following. Well, with James Brown, you got a following, and that's very, very important. If you make a James Brown movie, can you imagine how many people are going to go to see it? Because they already know James Brown, and that was important. Like Elvis made a lot of movies in his earlier days. It was very, very important. Even the Beatles made movies, and they were found up being gigantic movies and draws because everybody knew them, and that's important.
As you pointed out, you played a church minister in Blues Brothers.
Yes.
Did your singing career actually start in the church?
Say that again.
Did your singing career start in the church?
Well, my career didn't start in church, but I think some of my singing knowledge started in church, yes.
How important is religion to you?
God is everything to me. Because without believing in Him and believing in the Spirit, you cannot do anything. I get my spirit, my energy from God.
Now, you had a string of hits in the 60s, and things started to quieten down a bit for you in the 70s. What happened?
Well, that was because the record company wanted me to sit down and rest, because my songs I had so many hits that I didn't get credit for. You know, I was getting a million seller every 3 months, where some people take a million seller. It takes them a year to get a million seller. I was getting 3 million sellers a year. Every 3 months, I'd have a million seller, because they'd sell a million copies in 10 or 12 days. So they asked me to sit down and rest a while, so I rested. And I started shooting a show called Future Shock on Ted Turner's station, which is now CNN, which is the world station around the world. And then I did that for 3.5 years. I enjoyed it. But now I'm working a lot. We have more shows now than I've ever had in my life.
Was there ever a point in the 70s when you thought perhaps your musical career was coming to an end? I mean, punk crashed in on the scene and took over everything as soul really.
Well, no, it was disco.
Beneath the surface.
It was disco in the 70s, but never I thought it was coming to an end. I thought, see, one thing about it, like Jerry Hershey said, it was a writer. Jerry Hershey said, sometimes James Brown, you can be too much a perfectionist, or you can be too good. I don't know the word being too good. I don't know. I think I'm probably just somebody that try very, very hard. But you can make it a little too hard for people to understand. Like Einstein, they never understood all the work that he'd done. They're still trying to unravel some of the things that he'd done. So I got so far out there they couldn't catch me. So I had to slow myself down and make it easier for them.
Do you think soul still gets a raw deal as far as radio, TV is concerned? Do you think the American market is still very white, AOR, rock orientated?
Well, I believe one thing about it. But myself, I don't see color. I'm kind of colorblind when it comes to people, you know. The only time I see color is when I watch television. And sometimes I like black and white television for old pictures, but I don't see color. But I believe that what has happened, things that people can't do, they have a tendency not to be as into as normally would be, because when you can put something on a synthesizer and just learn it verbatim, and it's not even music, that's the joke. But we have to get it and play and make it happen. That's the difference.
Up until recently, you didn't have a record deal over here in the UK, did you?
No, I didn't have a record. I don't have one in the UK. I have it in the States. But what happened was, I would think they're having so many records recorded, I think the major record company was trying to keep me from getting with someone, because whoever I went with and recorded, I would make that company very, very hot and very, very hip, you know. Again, they didn't want to get into that because King Records was a very small company, and then yet still James Brown could have $3 million a year. And that was making the major companies look bad, you know. That a small company could come out with a hit record just like that, and $1 million, and there's a big company that had all the writers and arrangers and everything, and couldn't get a hit record. I'm for the small person, for the little person who don't have a chance. I'm concerned about that person.
At one point, you had your own label. Was it the People's?
People label.
People label.
And then the Polygram deleted that because my label, I had more hit records than they had. So they deleted my label, and we understood it. But I think if we had all this to do again, we'd do it. I do have some labels coming out now that I'm going to do some things. I just finished producing some people myself.
Who have you been producing?
A young fellow by the name of John Marshall. And I have one by the name of Buzz Clifford. And then I'm going to bring some more of my people out of my group that I recorded in the early years.
So are there any plans to resurrect people?
That's important. You know, when God resurrects you, then you should help resurrect other people, because they need music. Those shops, you know, let's remember one thing, that you can take a 45 record, a small record, and create take 100,000 records and create 5 million jobs. Because you got the record shops, you got the lawyers, you got the musicians, you got the clubs, and all this. A lot of things happen from that. You got people making clothes, you know, about the ticket takers. There's so many things happen. You know, the building has to be like you have a building just sit there, closed up. It's not being used. If you got shows going on, then it'd be used. So all from 100,000 records, create 5 million jobs. So that's important.
What do you think about all these old records being re-released, like When a Man Loves a Woman and Stand By Me?
It shows you that the records were ahead of their time. We just took I Feel Good and put it out. It just went right back at the charts. Sex Machine could be released tomorrow, and it would be a brand new record, just like it was recorded. Just put it out there. So those things are important.
What do you think about cover versions of your songs? I mean, the Fat Boys did a cover version of Sex Machine.
Well, everybody's trying to do Sex Machine. They did a cover version in Japan. And I enjoy it. And I enjoyed it even when I think Tom Jones tried to do It's a Man's World, and I think I like to see people do my songs. That's what it's about. More Brown. You know, in the States, I did the David Letterman show one night, and the president's wife called, and she said, more James Brown. More James Brown. Because they want to see that up-tempo drive thing. They want to see people get back into the business. Like last night, again, I said we played at Wembley, and the kids wouldn't sit down. They just kept moving. They couldn't get them to sit down, and that's what it's about. When you go to a show, you want to enjoy yourself. I mean, if you want to go to sleep, you go home.
James, what keeps you going? Because it is very exhausting. You put everything into your shows, and you do a lot of shows, don't you?
Well, yeah. But see, one good thing about it, God keeps you going, but then the people give you so much energy, too. Just when watching them, when I'm out there performing and watching everybody that's going out of their mind, and they you know, they're just ready to get into the show, it makes you just want to keep doing it, you know? Those are the things that keep you going.
Do you enjoy touring?
I love touring. I think my wife likes it better, though. She enjoys shopping.
How many shows do you do a year, on average?
We probably average now about 200 shows, don't we?
About 225.
Yeah. At one time, I used to do 335 shows a year. But I enjoy doing it. But along with doing soundtracks and all the business that we have a lot of other businesses as well.
So what do you actually do when you're not performing or recording? How do you relax?
I'm in the office, and we'll out buying real estate, and we're doing things that we enjoy doing.
Now, your career spans 3 decades. How do you look back on all that now?
We're on our 4th decade.
4 decades. How do you look back on that?
Do I look back?
Yeah.
I look ahead.
You look ahead all the time.
That's right.
What do you think, or what do you hope to have achieved at the end of your career?
I hope that I can continue making people happy, but the career has no ending, because once you declare a legend, that's forever.
Is there anything that you wish you could change, or that you could turn the clock back for?
I would just like to see more entertainers get a chance, and more people get an opportunity to do things. I think the Beatles proved that up under your own nose, that you could have stars and they would go out and shake the world up. And those things are very important.
I hope you keep on doing that. Thank you very much, James.
Thank you, and thank the people here in England, and thank them around the world for being so kind. God bless you.